In today's pronunciation lesson, we're going to go over 21 popular American phrasal verbs. And we're really going to focus on the more natural, advanced pronunciation of it to help you feel more comfortable using these phrasal verbs. So let's take a look at the first one, break down. Now, when you learn it correctly, break down. But if you notice that when Americans use it naturally, we don't really use that k. There's no aspirated K sound. Also, be careful if you're from a language like Italian, you don't say break down. Don't add a vowel at the end. So here, break your tongue, not your tongue, your throat is closed like the K sound, but you stop it from going k. So it's just the first half here. Break, and then your tongue comes up into the D position. Break down. Break down. So this is often where it can be difficult to mimic Americans because it sounds like they're not saying the K, but we are. It's just half of it. So now you know it's going to close here, break down. Good. The next one is to bring up. Now, here, if we're following the rules of connected speech, you're going to connect the G to the U. However, if you do that without guidance, it's going to sound too hard. So it's not bring up, g, g. So bring, again, it's that half G, like the half K. Bring up, bring up, bring up. So this is challenging. It's going to feel a little different, but you got this. So instead of connecting gup, gup, as you learned in the Connected Speech Masterclass from the American Pronunciation Accelerator, the next nuance to learn is how that last sound, how hard it actually is. So in this case, it's half the sound. So it's not bring up, but bring up, bring up. And this is where sometimes you might hear, oh, Americans will drop the G. But if you completely drop it, it's going to connect as brin up, brin up. So it changes the I, the connection makes it completely just very difficult to understand. And that's when you might get people looking confused. Next one, call off. So here we have the L that connects to the O. Call off, loff, loff. Call, not cat, but call off. I feel like that one's a little bit easier in terms of the linking. And we have carry on. So this one, this is where the A's are different. If you notice for call and then carry, carry. So when you want to know the difference, you can look at the IPA, or you can also look at the mouth shape. So if you're watching a video and you're trying to pronounce something like someone else, so we have call off, carry on. It's almost like a KE. Carry on. Now that particular linking, there's a Y intrusion, which is a more advanced technique that you'll learn in future master classes in the program. But for now, carry on, carry on. And remember, this is definitely unique to the American pronunciation. So whenever you're looking at vowel sounds, I find that those differ a lot with different variations of English. The next one, ketchup. It kind of sounds like ketchup, like the what you put on a hot dog. Let's catch up. Let's catch up. So if you don't connect, but with the pronunciation, you want to, with the more advanced pronunciation, you want to focus on that connected speech. Catch up. So it's not ka, but ke. Like, again, like ke. Catch up. Let's catch up sometime. Catch up. So the emphasis, it kind of has a double emphasis there. So this is really important when you start noticing the mouth shape for vowels. It's very powerful in helping you pronounce things more either accurately or naturally. Check in. Check in. So instead of check in, we want that connected speech. And this will help you a lot if you're coming from a linguistic background where you tend to add syllables or over enunciate at the end. So instead of check in, gin. By linking the k to the I in, you don't even have room to mispronounce or to add a syllable. So that's where linking and blending, which are all part of connected speech, have a huge impact on refining your English pronunciation. Close down. So the E is silent, the S sounds like a Z. Close down. So it's more like OU, just like, but then down, this is where American English is interesting. They're both the letter O, but we have close down. So again, if you hear it and you're like, I know it sounds different, but I don't know how, look at the mouth shape. Close down. Good. Come up with. Come up with. So the and come is going to connect to the the vowel sound in up. Come up, come up. Now the P, it's clear, but it's not super aspirated. So it's not come up, come up. Or conversely, if you don't aspirate your P at all, and you might come from a linguistic background where your P's sound like B's. So be careful not to say come up, but come up, tiny air. It's a little sharper than the B. Come up with. Come up with. So notice how quickly my lips touch for that, but it's still not the B sound, still a P. Come up with. The TH is the unvoiced TH. So you're going to feel air with. So moments like these, if your P's sound like B's and your TH sound like D's, that is going to cause some confusion. And it's not that your English is bad, but having slight mispronunciations so close together can cause overall confusion. Come up with. Very subtle. Cut back. This is another example of the half letters that we do so often in American English. Instead of cut, that sharp aspirated T, your tongue is still going to go in the T position. Cut. So the tongue has to be there in order for it to register as a T, even if you don't have cut. Cut, cut back. So again, those are those times where it might sound like we reduce the letter so much that it disappears, but it's not fully reduced or fully dropped. Cut, cut back, back. And for the K, back. You're going to have the k, not back. Don't add that vowel sound at the end. It's just air. Back. It's going to close here. Back. So keep your mouth small, because if your mouth, and I really want you to look at yourself. If your mouth opens up again, it's going to sound like back, which is going to either sound very accented or, depending on the context, might cause some confusion. Cut back. Drop by. This one can be challenging because you have the P and the B, which can be hard sounds for a lot of languages, but we can do this. So we've got dr, the DR, that same sound like dry. So it's not dra, but the D sounds like a J, like in judge or just. And then you have the R, dr. So that's really important. It's not dra, but drop. We're going to have that P, but it's not going to be drop. You're just holding that air. Drop by. So you have the P and then the B. By. Drop by. Drop by anytime. Drop by anytime. These are those little moments where you might have thought, I know it sounds different when I practice it, but I'm not sure why or how. That's why I have the American Pronunciation Accelerator program. It's for that advanced level of English practice that is really hard to achieve, because at this point of your English is good enough. You can take the tests, you can pass the test, you can have conversations, but now it's that next level of you want to refine it. You want to make sure that the sounds are as clear as possible. In addition to the specific pronunciation sounds, it's also about connected speech, about emphasis, intonation. So the pronunciation program that I have is inclusive of the pronunciation techniques that you need at the advanced level, which then lead to more natural fluency because you stop sounding like a robot. And when you stop sounding like a robot, you feel more natural. When you feel more natural, you speak more fluently. Next one, drop off. Now, this one's interesting because technically, by the rules of connected speech, we have a word that ends in a consonant sound. The next word starts in a vowel sound, but it's not puff. So we don't connect it to where it's puff. Again, this is where that reduction of the aspiration of the air affects the pronunciation. So we have again the draw. The D sounds like a j. You've got the American R, tongue is back. Drop off. There is a linking, there is that connected speech, but without the air, it's very subtle. Drop off. Good. So drop off the papers over there. Fill in. So not feel, so it's not E, but f. Fill in. Lin. The consonant L sound blends over, or links over to the I sound. Fill in. So if you're pronouncing your I's like E, filin, it's going to sound not only either incorrect or highly accented, but feel is a different word than fill. So that one is where the mispronunciation causes confusion because it sounds like a different word. So ill, fill in. Good. Follow up. So this is where we combine pronunciation with real life learning. Instead of just pronouncing words or just learning individual sounds, I find this is more productive because you're learning phrasal verbs, you're using phrasal verbs, and you're focusing on how to pronounce them more naturally. So it's double practice. Follow up. Follow up. So the first O is different than the second one. So it's fa, follow. That one's like an OU. Follow. And then don't stop the O. Keep it going so it goes into the up. Follow up. Now remember, for the W sound in English, which sometimes can be a little confusing, some of you might be pronouncing it like a V. Something really important is your lip placement. Your lips come out in a kiss. Follow up. So if you look at yourself and you make sure that your lips are in that position, it makes a W so much easier to pronounce because the reason you tend to pronounce it differently, obviously it has to do with your native language, but when you don't differentiate the lip placement, it's easier to go back into the incorrect pronunciation of it. Follow up. Get ahead. So this one, we've got that half T, kind of a flap T in this case. So it's not get ahead. It's not get ahead. Because if you connect it using that harder, sharper, aspirated T, it's not going to sound natural. And in fact, it messes up your emphasis. So get ahead. So it's the and the at the end. Those are where the emphasis goes up. Get ahead. Get ahead. I need to get ahead of my work, so I'm going to do some of the reports this weekend. Get ahead. Get back to. So this one, because it's consonant, the T with the B, there's no connected speech, but we still don't want to have that aspirated T. So instead of get back to, this is a difference when you're studying correct English and you're enunciating everything so beautifully. But then when you want to use it in real life conversation or when you compare it to how Americans actually use it, it sounds totally different. Get, your tongue still goes in the T position, but there's no air. Get, get, and then you go in for the B. Get back to. And a lot of times instead of to, which in this case sounds the same as TOO or the number two, Americans often reduce it to t. So let's get back to business. Let's get back to. So that's optional for you, but I want you to know why it sounds different. Go over. So this one, there's two O's. You, depending on how you're saying it, on the context and the speed of your sentence or your thought, it could be some blending where the two O's you can just pronounce it once. There could be two. So let's see how it sounds naturally. So I need to go over the results. So for me, I feel like I half blend it. Go over. Go. Your lips are out in that U position because it's OU sound. Go over. And to give you some even higher level linguistic insight there we're putting in a W intrusion. So it's that wah sound. Go over. Yeah, I would say I rarely blend it completely. So that's how you would be able to make it sound natural. You're not separating the words, but you're still very clear about what you're saying. Go over there. Go over there. Instead of go over there. Go over there. Good. Hold on. Make sure you're really pronouncing that H. So the H is here. So it's not hard, like we don't want to exaggerate it that much. Ho, ho, ho. Hold on. So notice when I say hold, it's really crisp. But then when I apply the connected speech, because it ends in a consonant sound, the next word starts in a vowel sound, it links really nicely. Hold on. So it's not hold on. We don't want to have a super exaggerated D. Hold on. Hold on a minute. Hold on, I'm coming. So make sure you have the ho. So if you're coming from a background where you don't really pronounce the H's, sometimes like the French accent, well, you might drop the H more often. They're really important in English. So take that extra time, exaggerate it, ho. So you're going to feel a little bit of friction here, but it's mostly air. Hold on. Keep up with. Keep up. So it's not keep up. We don't want to have it too sharp, but there is the linking there. Keep up with. So it's not keep up with. So if you tend to pronounce your P's like B's, you want to get rid of that round sound. When I think of a B, I think of the B, like a bubble. So your lips are not going to go as much. It's more of the inside. It's really important to analyze how much of the lip touches for certain sounds. That can help you really refine and clarify certain consonants or vowels. Keep up with. So we have that unvoiced TH. Keep up with. Oh, I can't keep up with you. You're too fast. So it's really important to visualize an example that makes sense to you that you would actually use. So instead of using examples that have nothing to do with your daily life, if you, I don't know, maybe your significant other is a lot taller and so they walk a lot faster than you and you constantly have to rush. Imagine walking next to them. They're already ahead of you. They're leaving you behind. You're like, "Wait, I can't keep up with you." So when you add that, it adds emotion, it adds humor, it adds this sense of this visualization that allows you to apply the English that you're learning and be more likely to use it in real life. Lay off. So the A actually sounds like an EI. So it's not lie, but lay. Lay off. That y sound, that's what we call a Y intrusion. Lay off. Lay off. I hope we don't have any layoffs this year. Look into. So for this one, l. So your lips are kind of out a little bit. So it's not ooh, If it's really exaggerated, look in the mirror, make sure it's in the right placement. L. So it's a little out. L. Not lu, but l. Look, look. So notice if you say the word look, that aspirated K is very clear. But when I connect it, when I link it to into, look into, kin. So there's no more aspiration and it's a smoother connection. Look into. Let's look into it. Let's look into it before we make a decision. Look over. Again, look over. So this is where that connected speech, you might think, oh, like it's so small, or maybe it doesn't really matter. But imagine in conversations, in sentences that you're reading, when there's so much connected speech, it really makes a difference between sounding robotic and enunciating every single word very correctly versus being able to link and connect naturally. The rhythm changes and it sounds so much more authentic to your voice because none of you are robots. So look over there. Look over there. Great. So those are 21 popular phrasal verbs that we're now using not only to study phrasal verbs, but to improve your pronunciation. If you're interested in more advanced pronunciation practice, I highly recommend my American Pronunciation Accelerator program. It's amazing. It's full of over 20 master classes, hundreds of virtual flashcards. I even have sections on showing you how to use ChatGPT to optimize your practice so you can be your own source. And there are tons of bonuses, free courses, downloadables, checklists, you name it, I have it for you. And it's all designed if you are upper intermediate to advanced and you're looking for that next level of English practice. And of course, you also get access to quarterly live trainings with me and so much more. So make sure you check it out at tanyasuarez.com pronunciation.